Alrighty, hopefully the audio doesn't sound, the worst, as it sometimes does, because getting a new microphone's always the funnest thing you could ever do. All that. Turn off Twitch so it's not affecting the playback too severely. Turn on CPU limiter and RAM things. Good. Where's my coffee and water so I'm not starving? Or just depleted. Probably a better way to phrase it. Absolutely depleted. Alrighty. Also, a quick thing. Shit. Give me 1 second. This. And then this. That should be good. Alright. And awkwardly run to set go. Also, ladies and gentlemen, the whole stream thing, what it was supposed to be said. Oh, it's echoing. Thank you. And it should be good. Sorry about that. Okay, should be good. Okay. Also, I'm kind of loud. Let me turn myself down just a tiny bit. I forgot whenever I actually start to stream, I always go test, and that sounds fine. But then when I'm actually here, I'm I shout. I throw my voice because I think I should. It's sometimes hard to hear people. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, by the way, the stream title is something like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if this product existed? That was the trackball controller I showed you guys on Friday. Thursday. But yes. Also, what's good, Mike? What's good, Fluff? What's good, Lone? How is everyone doing today? We're going to have a great stream. This is the Dune game. The game I keep seeing, and I keep not knowing really how to feel about it. Because I don't really know what it is, Mike says, Grin, are you going to make more Let It Die videos? Mike, probably not, because I kind of moved on a little bit. I'm much more into VR at this point, and yeah, I played the game so much that I feel like it's not fair to the community for me to kind of be half in, so I feel like I should just get out, Audio is still echoing. Did I not mute it? I should have muted it. It should be muted. Audio is still echoing. Is it still echoing, gang? It shouldn't be echoing. Huh. Is it echoing for everybody else? Oh, no more echoing. Okay, good. It just took some time to get to happen, to get fixed. Okay, good. No more echo. Okay, good. I was like, it shouldn't be. I muted the other microphone, so it should be fine, but who knows? Things could always go to shit. Also, Fluff did say his accessory kit. I know I seen your accessory kit just came in, and your Creator Cup. Oh, I'm curious what the Creator Cup looked like. Yeah, man. There's so many. I can't keep up with that. It's always fun. It's always fun to see them. I wish I did. I keep up with the whole Gamer Subs thing more because it does look fun. Right. No, this is Conan Exile, right? No, I remember Fluff was telling me what this game is supposed to be. Right. Never mind. Also, my beard is dry and split endy. Dude, the amount of hair in my beard that just is split ends is insane. It's just crazy. It makes me think is the only reason why I have hair is because all of them just fork 5 different ways, and they just kind of. I really have one hair cell for every 3 centimeters. Brutal. But Lone says, how are you doing today? I'm doing pretty good, man. I got up. I did some research stuff that actually felt meaningful because I was just kind of spinning my wheels and doing research, kind of more of this, and then that's not really helping because I kind of maxed out knowledge on that area because I'm missing something. I don't know what it is, but then I finally seen a video that kind of helped really clarify some things. And I always go back to the same creator who helps me oh, that makes more sense. Oh, that's why that wasn't working. And yeah, then I go and do my own thing for a bit, and I forget that I should probably keep watching this one guy who keeps breaking things down for me. Yeah, so I'm closer to you guys. But yes, have you guys ever heard of something called a boxable? It's like a house that is, the idea is that it's just in a pallet truck. And then it's a really cheap house, 60 grand or for 40 grand or something like that. I was watching a video on it a while back that was it's a scam. It's 110% a scam. They have not given any house to an actual human being. It's all just a bunch of smoke and mirrors. And I was like, oh, that sucks. Because it sounded kind of nice. It was basically hey, if you still don't want to give up on the dream of owning a home one day, owning your own space, yeah, here you can do it for not that much money, and it's basically a room, but still, I mean, frankly, I don't really think most people need a lot. Again, I think one of the things that's the coolest statistical thing I remember reading a while back was that most human beings can adapt to like the size of a place extremely fast. So whether it's big, you will adapt to that big house being normal. Whether it's small, you'll adapt to that small house being kind of normal. And vice versa. Funnily enough, the place that the metric that never really changed, which is kind of like the metric you should keep in mind when you're trying to buy a house, if you're ever able to, is essentially what is it called? Is location. So like you being near like your friends, you being near your family, you being near like a cafe that you would really like, you being near a pool, like things like that are what matters supposedly. Probably like wealth. Like I'm sure there's a reason like you have to have everyone in your household should have enough space to be okay, to just kind of be okay, so you're not like literally on top of each other. But still, also Fluff and Lone being nice to telling Mike what's up. Appreciate that, guys. Lone says, "Oh, but how I am? I'm doing pretty good. My day, man. My main goal today is to try to edit that Chainsaw Man video, and a lot of it's gonna be me kind of like MacGyvering things around, like checking if this is gonna be okay here, and if that's gonna be okay here, and all that things." Lone said, "Nope, never heard of it." Lone, do you think we will be? Do you think that in the future that is upon us, with AI doing all kinds of shit, with just absolute bloodshed being our new commonplace, maybe we're just more aware of it because people report on it more. I don't know. But point is, you think with all of these things forcing things to just keep going, like whether it's Neuralink, whether it's electric cars, whether it's the advancements in solar technology, just seemingly technology is going up. Do you think possibly we can become or get back to being a generation that could have the hopes of owning a home one day? Thoughts? I don't know. It's fucked up because my brain goes, you have to become a really rich person somehow. You have to come up with some sort of really insightful insight. You have to work your ass off to a point where it's just grotesque. And then maybe you get a home. Meh. But yeah, it's kind of like a tiny home, Mike. Yeah, it's kind of like tiny home, but to me it was. So I went down the rabbit hole basically. There's like a bunch of weird things in YouTube where it's like the tiny home, anywhere from like, it seems like either if it's below 15K, you're getting scammed. Like you're getting basically a thin paper metal wall with just nothing essentially. But basically all of these houses, all of these things revolve around the same kind of problem, which is like the housing market and all that stuff is just absolutely evil and like broken beyond repair almost, it seems like. Same with the schooling situation. I feel like the same place. Both these systems need to be completely like shattered and fixed. Not like let's tweak this a little bit. Like no. None of this seems to be working unless you're a doucher who's in real estate, who's like making fucking $20 million off the suffering of people never being able to own a home. Anyways, sorry. But point is, I went down this rabbit hole of a bunch of like the solutions to this kind of crisis or whatever. And one of them is tiny homes, basically like having a tiny little 1-bedroom apartment and just kind of being fine with that. Meanwhile, every generation beforehand, big fuck off house. And yes, and they're and it's the thing that's crazy to me. That's just so, it's a symptom of like the system itself is just broken. Like it's not that the house is the thing that's the problem. It's the fact that like, even like container, have you guys seen those like shipping container homes? Yeah, those, like the tiny like cabin house, like the dome house as well. Like all of these things are like massively bought by people who are also in real estate, and then just let you rent that out that little fad of a house, little tiny fad house, for a week. So they're also fucking renting the shit out of you essentially, even for a fucking box. It's just like the system. This shouldn't be a thing that's this fucking leverageable. Okay, it drives me nuts. How are you guys? Mike says it's pretty expensive, but there are alternatives. There is an NI, there is a house shortage. So yeah, man. Well, see, that's the thing that drives me nuts. It's like, is there a house shortage? Is it? Because I don't know if that's the case. I feel like a lot of what it is everything that you go buy is rented essentially. Maybe you mean like there's just like an influx of people and therefore No, because people become roommates and whatnot. Like I mean, yeah, I'm sure that's the thing too. But I don't really buy that it is like we don't have enough houses. I think it's every house is worth an astonishing amount, and because there is such a demand on houses, because there's just no check and balances basically about like increasing rent every consecutive year. So you start off paying a decent amount of whatever, which is like reasonable for you to do, but then rent keeps going up. But it's not like you're getting fucking paid more, bubba. So then you're like, well, fuck me dead. I guess I got to take a loss on my food, or what most people do, which is go and try to find another house to rent. Um, maybe it is like it is all demand, and we just need to make gigantic, complexes that can house people. But I tend to think that's not how it is. I tend to think it's the nature of like renting and how everything keeps going up, but yet wages don't keep accommodating that going up. And also, yeah, it's just the insatiable greed of people, which is fair. Like we're both greedy. Like me and you who watch this, we have moments of absolute greed. If we found $100 on the ground, we would not be like running after people and be like, "Is this somebody's $100?" Maybe not. Maybe one day. Maybe at some point. Maybe someday we're like, I feel more charitable to this week. I feel better about it. But the whole thing, whatever that is. But then you gotta catch yourself on a desperate week, and you're like, yeah, that's my fucking $100. Okay, I lost $200 beforehand. That's my $100 because it's getting paid back to me. So we're all inherently greedy, which is fine as long as greed doesn't become like a fucking dogmatic, like over-consuming thing that destroys you. The right amount of greed is a good thing, I think. It keeps you taking care of yourself and your family and all these things. But my God, man. Yeah. So back to the question. I don't think Lone answered. Lone, do you think we'll ever be? Do you think that like with the evolution of technology, with AI, with manufacturing, with maybe just some like cataclysmic event that makes people be like, we need to change some things because it's just we can't really be, something's wrong. The system seems like it's not really hyper efficient, where a person's able to basically break the rules, and then they make like $1 billion, and then the tax or the fine for breaking the rules was a measly $1 million, and they're like, yeah, the system will totally optimize itself. That makes so much sense. Anyways, I hate to be on this whole, keep throwing the trauma of the world at you guys because this is supposed to be a fun place. but do you think we'll ever get to a place with all the advancements in technology where we could ever be a homeowner and not do, like, again, I seen a house thing, like it's part of the Boxable. As much as Boxable might be a scam, their like house layout is actually pretty efficient. Like it's like, oh, you have a couch, you have a TV, a couple steps this way, you get a nice little kitchen, you get a stairway going up, that leads you to the master bedroom, and then of course it goes this way, and then there's like a shower, and then there's like a bedroom, an extra bedroom. Like that's all you need. And then of course they basically have like a little deck. And I'm like, that's already the deck is too much probably. But that's just nice. That just seems like a really nice, solid baseline, sweet home. Like a nice little home. We wouldn't need much more than that, at least I don't think. But yeah, so like, do you think that? Like, so not like a big fucking house, but like a house that you could be like, this is perfect for me, essentially. And of course, do not be like, it can't be huge. Do you think we'll ever own something like that? And to me, I don't know. I want to hear what you guys think. Thoughts? Mike says, our country lets in a lot of migrants. Oh, I see. And they all need a place to live. And 18 million people on the small piece of land, while also need space for agriculture and woods. Yeah, I guess that is true. There is like, man, yeah. But to me, that doesn't really. Again, I just don't think that's the complete. Like I agree. Let me say this. It's a percentage, all right? I'll say that. Like, I believe there is a percentage of the problem, which is, I think, just like the rampant no checks and balances for like the housing market and renting, and how it just seems like it's an all-consuming thing that will constantly go up forever. And unless like businesses and whatnot are willing to not take, a CEO is not willing to take a $2 million bonus this year, and instead, can pay their employees a little bit more. Then you can keep paying the fucking rent because everything is going up, including your money you're making. But that's not typically how it's happening. So to me, I think there's a percentage of like the grossness of like just having like an over approximation on the value of a home, of a fucking living resource that you need to survive. And then I would say there's another percentage which is probably just not having enough of the resource itself. But I don't know. A part of me just thinks that's just, I would say it's 20%, 20%, 10%, 20% of like the capacity overload kind of thing. But I think a big ass percentage has got to be the renting thing because I don't know, man. I also heard somewhere someone break it down where it's basically uh, like a bunch of the weird stuff is there's weird building code which is actually not very like it hasn't been updated like the building codes and stuff like that for like what contractors can do and what they shouldn't do, and of course contractors will always just try, or whatever, not contractors but businesses, giant corporations who are under contractors or over contractors will basically hyper fixate on like basically making as much profit as possible, so then they'll basically drop as much of the non-necessary things as possible, so they're just trying to make as much money as possible, which is a business usually. But yeah, Lone says, yeah, we'll probably get there. Really? Okay, I'm happy. At least somebody. I guess that's hopeful. Then I like that. I hope that that's the case. That's a little bit of hope in the air. I'm in a camp that I yeah, I hope so. That's I hope so. I don't know if we get. I guess I'm more cynical now. Where I'm like, man, my brain. Let me put it this way. My brain doesn't go, I have faith. My brain goes, you need to make a lot of money somehow. You need to make a lot of money somehow. Um, um, Mike says probably a 10 by 10 meter is already going to be expensive if it has some advanced technology. Yeah, yeah. Well, that's what it was neat. Like, at least neat in concept for this company that might be a scam. Again, it's called Boxable. And the idea is essentially, well, what if we basically made a house on an assembly line, put it onto like pallets, made it all like deconstructible, like collapsible, and then we just like drove a giant pallet truck with a bunch of like basically containers on it that basically all unraveled to be a wall, a supportive beam on top, and all that stuff. That way, you wouldn't have to pay for all the construction cost of having to actually like lay down foundation, or that you might still have to do that one. That was the only one that you had to do. But it's like putting up the walls, putting up drywall, insulation, all that stuff could be theoretically done in a warehouse by a lot of machines and way more efficiently because you wouldn't have the variability of having like a bunch of hands doing one thing. You would just have a system that basically modulates and puts it all together, and then you just drive it to the location. That was the idea of a I think it was 1,600 square foot house, which surprisingly looked bigger because it had quite high ceilings. But yeah, that's the idea, that you would cut down a lot of costs. Therefore, you could drive down the price of the house greatly, and also you theoretically wouldn't need it, just all that whole process, because of like the fact that the houses are collapsible. You're not really paying for awkward shaped transport. So like the travel of all that metal and all that wood that would normally be there associated with there is less, because it's basically all in one. And also like the cost of the house going up would be also faster, so you could theoretically keep selling more. So anyways, all that stuff resulted in like you would make profit, but then you could also drop the price tag significantly and therefore still have a house that is tinier. But yes, that's the idea. Now, whether that sounds too good to be true is seemingly yeah. It seems sometimes like that's the case. What's good, Raid? How's it going today? We're good, doing good. Raid, do you think in our lifetime we will ever be house owners? Do you think that's a thing, a likely thing? With all the advancements in technology, with AI, with machining, all that stuff, do you think we'll get to a point where that can be a thing? Fluff says, efficiency of prefab housing. I see it being very much profitable. I hope so too. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Yeah, prefab. That's a good way of putting it. Yeah. It's funny because the reason why I got on this topic, the whole reason why I went down this rabbit hole by myself, my dad was looking at we have something called I forget what it's called, but it's basically like an auction type thing in our hometown. My nose. Sorry. We have like this auction thing, and it showed like a $15,000 house. Like that it was just same thing, a prefab, like where it's made in China, and it's in like a giant container essentially, and then the container goes swoop, opens up like this, then the walls come up from underneath it, and then it's actually like a pretty good sized house. Again, it's funny because I'm like, that's all you really need. Like, as a person who maybe just hasn't lived in like a big apartment or anything like that, I live in like one room basically, and that's plenty for me. So seeing this big thing, it's like this is actually more than I'm used to. But I think this would be just the right amount because you still have like enough space to move around. You could have friends over. Yeah. Anyways, but I went down and looked into that whole prefab house, pre-manufactured house kind of thing, and a lot of people were like, But I don't know, man, because a lot of these fucking people are also like very much into the like anyone who talks about housing and stuff in on YouTube are also people who are super into the current way things are going of like what do you call it, just buying property, renting them out, making a fuck ton of money residually from that, and that being basically a retirement business, your whatever. So it for them being like they're shitty, low quality, and could break apart. I'm like, are they that shitty? Because I go into the comments of some of those videos and people being like, this dude's insane. Like I have had this for like 15 years, or not 15 years. It hasn't been open that like 7 years or 6 years, and it's been fine. It's been fine. Yeah. So to me, it's one of those things where I'm like, I don't know what to believe. I'm sure the people. Yeah, I'm sure $15,000 is a rough. I don't think I could survive in Canada. I'm sure it would just get flattened. Um, but yeah, to me, hopefully that's a future that we can get going here. I don't know. I'm waiting for Raid's response of if he thinks that we will one day be able to own a home. My arm. Like genuinely, like you would be able to have a house and it not be like you have to somehow become really rich somehow. Not really rich. You just need to be rich enough, I guess. Or be willing to take on monstrous amounts of debt. Either or. Um, Mike says, in our city, there is small communities of like 10 to 15 tiny homes near each other. It wouldn't be bad to. Yeah, no, that's exactly what I'm thinking of too, Mike. Is like I do think it would be. It does make sense. The issue that I have, man, is a lot of like these tiny homes and all these kinds of like units are for people that I don't think. How do I put it? I don't think they're people who are very like would really value that this is their home. You know, I think that's just the issue with anything. That's the same issue with like giving people money. What is it called? Universal basic income and stuff like that. It's just like, did you pick the right kind of people who wouldn't let this either go to their head or take this for granted or you know any of those things? Because I'm sure it has to exist possibility that there's a system that could account for the variability of people like you know taking things for granted and not actually making use of things and so on and so forth. That could be a thing. But a lot of times when I see these like tiny little house compounds and stuff like that, they're usually for like recovering drug addicts or alcoholics and such. So the house just gets like broken to shit. There's drugs everywhere. There's needles. There's fucking like alcohol bottles smashed into the wall. Yeah, shit like that. Uh, Mike says skyscrapers are going to be the future when the population raises. I think, man, sounds like a hot take. I think we should go down. I think we, especially go like if we're ever going to colonize Mars, I feel like we got to start borrowing down. You know? Yeah. Also, I especially like there's so much value to actually like the insulation, the like all that just from going into the ground and not like up and like creating like a fucking wind brace essentially. Uh, Love says, there's a video I can share about a guy living comfortably in a van while mostly a remote job. Yeah, I do also think there's a type of person that can do that. You know, like I'm not that it's not like yeah, sure. I'm sure most people can adapt, but I do think that there's like a type of person who's like a nomadic type person who wants that. I would rather if they're like yeah, there's a value to being like free, and I'm like I don't really care. I would if my house is anchored in location, that's chill. I don't need to see like Grand Canyon 4 times a year. I'm fine with seeing my bog standard backyard or scenery around me. You know. Raid says, I don't know what the housing market is like in Canada, but I think it's possible at the very least. Yeah, it's not that it's not possible. It's just that it's to me it just seems like every consecutive year it gets worse and worse and worse. You know that I guess that's where I'm coming from. To me it just seems like it's a consecutive amount of like man it's like it's never gone down, you know, and if it does go down you're buying like a house that might fucking have like deeply bad mold in it and shit and you're like fuck you know damn. So I don't know, to me that's kind of the feeling. It's like so if the housing thing was getting much better and I was like oh wow this house is actually a really good price with a you know it seems like a good amount of value and all that stuff, but a lot of times it's like no, you're getting a home that was used 17 times, wrecked to shit. Likely you're going to have to replace half of the stuff in there. But yeah, you'll own it. And I'm like, okay, all right, good. That's something, you know? But I hope you guys are right. I hope that's the case. To me again, I have a little lack of faith just because it hasn't got better. It has went down. The trajectory just keeps going like this, and my wallet doesn't keep going like this. So I'm like, oh okay, oh good. Mike says, but you're in the no, I'm in Canada. I'm in Canada, which is one of the worst houses. Well, I shouldn't say it's Canada. It's usually Toronto. Toronto and Calgary are one of the worst housing markets in the entire world. It's because Canada thought it'd be a great idea to have no laws about how Asian countries can buy up condos and such in cities, in major cities. And it's such a weird thing, but it's such a most people in the east or in the west, most people in the west, western part of the world tend to like put money into stock markets and stuff like that, and that's like your retirement to some extent. It builds up over time, all that stuff. Whereas weirdly enough, in Asian countries, it seems like, especially Japan and mostly China, they don't really do that. A lot, well, at least a giant portion of them doesn't do that. A giant portion of them tends to actually buy up houses. Like they just buy up like real estate constantly, and they just have like 5 houses. And basically, they're like, yeah, if I ever wanted money, I'd just sell one of my houses. Like that's their weird investment scheme. So it's one of the things that's so alien to me when I first started watching anime, which is weird. Which is like, how the fuck is this kid living by himself, essentially going to school or some weird shit? Or how does this like fucking 18 or 14-year-old kid like in an apartment or something like that? Of course, that's not right. I don't think that. Well, maybe that's kind of possible somehow through some sort of weird like keeping track of your son and all that. Regardless, the reason why that didn't make sense as a Westerner is because who the fuck has 3 houses essentially, where in Chinese cultures and in Japanese cultures it is apparently much more normal to have multiple homes. So of course you're like, yeah, the house is just doing nothing, why don't I let my kids stay there, and so on and so forth. It's funny because I think even in certain Puerto Rican countries it's the opposite. It's like one big house where it's like 15 people in there, or like 3 families, and you're like, whew. Fluff says there is a video of a guy, a video I can share of a guy comfortably out there. Fluff says he's pretty much the bare necessities and some luxuries like TV, Steam Deck, like portability, a computer, a kitchen, and bed. Yeah, I definitely think that's possible. But to me, I feel like there's a value in like you getting. There is a value in being able to like go any place you could possibly want, Whereas to me, I think like if I didn't need that, then hopefully you'd gain more and not kind of less, But maybe that's also I just find that's one of the more like things in the recent memory. Whenever I keep looking, and again, I do think it's like a geography thing. I think in America it's slightly better, the housing situation. In Canada, it's pretty terrible, especially for all things considered. For like, I just wish there was like there's 2 things. One of them, which is also shitty about houses I've heard, which is there's not a lot of like. What do you call it? Houses are not being made stronger or better as time goes on, despite the massive advent of technology, which is depressing. So the idea basically being like, and it's hilarious, but you'll see like a house that's older that like is made of pure stone rock, essentially stone and mortar, and then wood on the insides and stuff like that. But that house will live much longer than most of the other houses that we currently have, which are made of like drywall that are cheap as hell, wood that is also cheap as hell, plastic on the outside for insulation and whatnot. Like, yeah, so like not like houses are getting better as far as like structure goes, as far as like endurance goes, longevity, all that stuff goes. Apparently there's some weird thing with it. I never really understood it, but there's some sort of weird like law where it's like making it harder for construction workers to do their job, while also there's problems with construction workers in general cutting costs at any possible way they can. So it's kind of this weird balancing act, it seems like. Also, Mike says, you're in the U.S., right? I heard it was very expensive to live there, like 2 jobs to make. No, that's California. Yeah, that's definitely California. You're thinking of, Mike. Yeah, California is one of the craziest. Anyone who lives in California should get just a shit smacked out of them. It's not that I don't have any political thing there. It's just like there's so many people there. I don't know what the like export is besides just like talent and stardom. And it's one of supposedly the most vain places in the entire planet. So it's just rough. It's just like also it's so expensive. There's a lot of like homeless people there because a lot of like other countries like Florida and such, or not countries, but like districts or whatever, will basically just ship their homeless population to California because they know they won't come back because California apparently doesn't do that. They don't send them away, which is what most people do, which is kind of the fucked up thing you realize about the world where they're just throwing around poor people essentially, or people down on their luck to other countries and continents. Fluff says it's very much depends on the U.S. Someone lives popular. Yeah, I hear there's what was a place that like actually seemed amazing. I'm not sure if it was Ottawa or something, like one of those countries that no one really, or countries, fucking states that like is not that crazy. But yeah, New York is crazy. Florida I hear is crazy, and California is crazy. Yeah. That's what Fluff is saying. Particular costs a lot. California has migrant. Ontario, Washington. Yeah. Washington I hear is okay. Alongside the other neighbors states that have resulted in a higher housing costs over the years too. Many depends on how close you are to the main cities you are. Yeah, it's true too. The whole city location thing is probably a massive thing. Which to me I don't think would matter as much, so long as if you could still get to good internet. I think most of us, at least in this chat, would be like, okay, I can take that. I can take that loss. Mike says you can choose to live in a tiny house, container, a minivan, or whatever, but people are out of money. Out for money. Those companies that produce these homes overprice all. Yeah, that's the thing that's so brutal, Mike. That's what I was seeing too. I was just like, is there any like quality assurance of like the thing that I'm getting is going to be either structurally good, and is it like, I don't know, because for like a lot of people, what do you call it? Say you buy a really nice car for like 20 grand, which is quite a lot of money. What do you call it? But like this tiny house thing that I saw was like 15K. I was like, oh, okay. Still, again, you should pay significantly probably more than you would for a car than a house, but still, to me it'd be cool if there could be a house that was like 70K, that was pretty functional, I guess. Sorry, I got a bubble in my chest. But I agree. It's like you would hope that you're getting, again, it probably in some cases it's probably just better to buy an old house or even like a trailer that's been around for a long time, because a lot of the stuff is already built in. Like that's the other thing that people talk about with like tiny houses and shit like that, where like, okay, you're buying like a tiny house for like, let's say $60,000, but then you go and you're like, oh, what do you call it? Let's you have this tiny house or whatever. It doesn't actually come with plumbing, doesn't come with electricity, doesn't come with anything like that. So good luck. All that stuff is going to add to probably being another 30K. So have fun. And you're like, oh, now I'm basically spending 100K or close to basically this box, this fucking box in the middle of nowhere. I had to buy the land, to where you're like, you'd probably be better off just either buying a trailer, like from a trailer park, I mean, like an actual like grounded trailer, or just buying like an old ass house for like 120,000, and then just having to be like, we're just gonna suffer in here for a little while, or forever, whatever. Also, what's good? Nub says, what do you call it, Nub? Did you hear the question I asked for chat? Do you think we will be able to own a home in the future? So like, do you think with the advent of technology, with AI, with all these things, that we will be able to be home owners at some point in this future? I'm trying to get everything situated with chat properly so I can see things properly. Ooh, Fluff says, yeah, infrastructure is something that has been heavily neglected. Cost and resources efficiency has resulted in a faster erection of houses and other buildings in expensive quality. Yeah. So I think that's what the whole thing is. But it seems like they're both sides have a point where like construction workers are like, why can't I, like, there's weird shit that this house has to have on it that we don't need anymore. Like, this is old stuff that we don't use. And then what do you call it? The people who are making codes and all that stuff are like, wait, we need to have like quality assurance. Like, you need to make better, like stronger houses that can actually endure and not just fall apart, especially with our massively increasing weather conditions. We need to have something that actually can be stable, you know? Nub says, we already don't own our games or our hardware. It's hard to say in sequence, or hardware. So why not make our own homes as well? not own our own homes as well. Say like a person who's truly given up. Okay. Unless you mean something else. No, I don't just mean renting. I just mean like the idea that, again, it seems like the housing situation and market just seems like it's constantly going up. And I've recently went down the rabbit hole, like smaller homes, like tiny homes, I guess what they call them. It's not that tiny. It looks pretty sizable, some of them. But yeah, and then just I'm getting disenchanted by being like, oh wow, most of these are scams, most of these are overpriced, and most of these, oh, I don't know. it's a wee bit depressing, but anyways. Um. Also, did you beat and leave Dragon's Dogma 2 done and dusted, Nub? Also, don't let me ask you how your day was. How was your day? The problem there is actually, Fluff says, the problem there is actually having good internet access the further you are away from urban areas. Yeah. I feel like we're getting better at that. That's one of the ones with technology I think would improve with like Starlink and all that stuff. I feel like it's just because it's something that's it's better internet will lead to more money for bigger execs and bigger companies. So I think that's an inevitability that we just get better and better internet. Like I think that's why I actually like YouTube, or not YouTube. What was it? Google. That's what it was. It was Google who basically like the internet speeds were not improving, so they like made their own like great internet and like forced the internet providers to like scale up to them finally, and then they just kind of like threw away the business basically, or they stopped scaling, I should say. Noam says, unless you mean something else, ignoring. No, it says, ignoring my most important / joke message. Sag, what did you say? My everything, it hurts. And when I looked for a doctor, the nearest available one is an anti-vax conspiracy. So I just suffer in pain, I guess. What do you mean? Why do you hurt everywhere? What happened? Also, maybe take a spin at that, just be careful with careful about vaccination things. Okay. Yeah, that's brutal. Are you okay now? Why do you hurt everywhere? What happened to you? Nub says, also, I don't enjoy Dragon's Dogma as much. No, really? I know. It seemed like you were on that train when I was talking to you last time, where you're like, it doesn't have as much as the previous game, yada yada yada. I'm playing a new game I found that's a mix of an RTS shooter, and a factory / town defense. Interesting. Tower defense. Weird. Okay. And there's different people in this world. That's crazy. To me, like that, like, again, certain people their genres don't mean nothing to them. You know what I mean? Like a top-down RTS shooter with factory building and tower defense. I just see, like, to me, I mean, it's messed up, but I just see like a 2-bit game where you're looking at a little guy on a screen and do this a bunch, and you're like running around a circle trying to defend a tower. And that is, people love that. But to me, I'm like, man, Dragon's Dogma looks pretty good. You can fucking cast tons of spells. You have a dynamic system that's reacting to you pretty much. That's pretty nice. That's pretty nice. But I'm happy you're happy. I know. The problem there is actually having good internet access and further urban areas. Good luck. Good luck giving gigabyte speeds, let alone something like fiber optic. Yeah, it's true. Fiber optics is wild. People have that's just crazy. Lone says, my day was good, and my internship today came. Did my internship today, came home. Now I'm watching the stream. Let's go, a full completed day. Absolutely massive. Mike says, I searched it up, and it says 337 for a 4-year. Wait, sorry. I looked it up, and it said 37K for a 4x5 meter mini house that is insanely small. It even says room for 2 people. Do you also pay rent once? Yeah, and it seems like that. The housing scene, whatever it is, Very much seems like a pyramid scheme where everyone's like, no, you don't get it, dude. You buy a house. Hey, you don't got much money. Buy this tiny house. And then you have to live in a closet, but then you rent out the other house. You use that money to then buy 2 small houses. Now you finally have 1 tiny house. And now you can rent out that one. And then you just do it. And you're like, what the fuck, man? Damn. Mike says, by the way, I don't know if you care, but I got my 5-star Kamaz spare. Let's go! Of course I guess. Huge. That takes a long ass time, man. That Kamaz is fantastic. Although it did get nerfed for us, not for the AI. The AI still can nuke you with it, but it did get slightly less powerful. Actually, I don't know if it. I doubt it. I doubt it. They never. If they fix it last minute, then fuck them. Fuck them dead. I stopped playing and then they fix it. Fuck you. But yes. Getting the actual Kamaz fully leveled is huge, such a massive thing. Okay, Fluff. No, Nub was saying I haven't seen a doctor. I have no. What is it? What happened to you? Sorry guys, I'm tired. What's happening to you? What did you do? What happened? Actually, what is your fault? What happened to you? Nova says, I haven't seen a doctor in a while. I have no idea what's wrong with me. The graphics are basically current-gen graphics. I don't think so. Those characters, they look good. The models, the lighting. I'm also playing on PC. So that could be a problem where I'm higher than I think I should be. But yeah. Fluff Alone says, Grin, any mangas you've been reading? Don't do this to me, Alone. You know you fucking always do this to me, and it always makes me ramble, and I can just tell the chat just stays locked in. It doesn't move when I start talking about my weird manga stories, and people are like, they just tune out completely, and I get it, and I gotta try to fucking start another conversation that some of you guys might care about. It's always like, how have you guys watched Fallout? I asked you guys this yesterday. I wonder if anyone was watching it. I've seen 3 videos pop up in my feed that I have not watched that are like, well, one of them was hilarious because I'm subscribed to a channel that's kind of like a doomer. It's just like a downer. I don't know what I call him a doomer, but basically it's like whenever there's anything remotely negative, it's like the end of the world. This is a travesty. How could they? How dare you? And I always watch it. And I'm like, man, this is not what we should care about as much, Anyways, a lot of it's in gaming realm. So, I watched a video from his, and the first video I seen was like reacting to the reviews of Fallout TV series, and it was kind of like, drama alert, kind of like it's bad. And then I watched, and then I heard a lot of good things from it. I heard a lot of people be like, it's actually pretty good. And the next video I seen was reviewing of the next video, and it's all him being like, it's pretty good in the thumbnail. And I'm like, I get it, but it's also just like, man, come on, gang. Shit. Don't just echo what everyone else wants to hear all the time. But anyways, I have 3 shows on the list to watch. All right, and I think I'm gonna watch these before I watch anime, and then I think I'll jump back into anime. That's the plan. So, one thing I did not know came out, which is insane to me. One of the best shows I've watched. It's so fucking good. It's like the most wholesome bromance you've ever seen. It's called Good Omens. Okay, a little more than the bromance. Anyways. It's so awesome. I love the show deeply. Good Omens on Amazon, which was weird because no one's seen it because it was on fucking Amazon. It's changed a little bit because The Boys has been so popular that it's kind of pulled Amazon out of its ass a little bit from being just a novelty, at least their movie streaming for service. Anyways, Good Omens apparently got a season 2 that came out 9 months ago. If you knew that, why the fuck didn't you tell me? Okay. So I want to go back and watch that. Season 2 of that was season 1 of that's just awesome. It's just so wholesome and sweet. Love it. Anyways, the second thing that I want to watch is that damn Netflix movie that's called. It's based on a bunch of books that people keep reading. They said it was really nice, a cool story. It has some VR stuff in it. So I thought, oh fuck, I have to watch it now. And then the third one is the Fallout one. I'll go in that order though. But those are the three TV shows that I want to watch. Has anyone seen that damn Netflix one? I keep hearing about it. Seems like, I don't know. I want to get someone who's a normal human being who's seen that the mind or I don't know what it's called. The Third Mind or something. The Third Mind Problem. I don't know what it's called. But it's a Netflix series that's popular on there right now. And it seems very much a little too much of like mind vomit, of like to where I wonder if you I want to ask you guys who are normal people, well, as close as we can get to normal people, to be like, hey, it was too much. It's kind of pretentious. Yeah, third body problem. It's great. Okay, good. Okay, I got. Oh, that's insane. That's insane. This is the first time I've heard Nub say anything. That's what it's called. The third body problem. Thank you. The problem. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. What's Good Omens? Lone Good Omens is the best goddamn bromance you've ever seen in your whole life. Okay, it ends up being more gay than it does bromance. But hey, anyways, the point is, it's a really fun story. It's basically about like a demon, like a devil and an angel. Like since the dawn of time, since like Eden, like ate the apple and stuff like that. They kind of start hanging out, and the one is clearly like an angel that's kind of a little bit. He's good. He's very virtuous, but he's kind of a little bit of a he's more open, I should say. So he's not a very strict angel. He's like kind of like, oh, whatever. And the demon is kind of actually kind of good at times, and that's basically the relationship. So then you follow them throughout time, basically, of them like becoming better and better friends. So you have like this really wholesome like black and white kind of thing, and their relationship is made up of like this idea of like the demon wouldn't like the angel if the angel wasn't a little bit of a bastard, and what do you call it? The angel likes the demon because the demon is just a little bit of a saint, So they're kind of like the perfect gray area, essentially. Anyways, but the whole series is basically like the coming of the Antichrist and how they're basically trying to like stop that from happening, and then they kind of go against both heaven and hell and hang, essentially. Nub says, "Fuck you, Grin. It's amazing." Okay, if it's amazing, I gotta watch it then. I've seen people say it's good. Actually, I haven't seen people say it's good. I've seen people say that like, I don't know. People, it always feels like they don't really tell me how they feel. They're just like, it's. You should watch it. That's what they say. I don't know if it's like, is this some sort of mind fuck of like changing your whole perception of humanity? Like, what is it? Well, Nub, I have one thing to ask you, okay, about the show, and it will determine whether I watch it or not. All right. And if you lie to me, does it end positively? Don't do this to me, Nub. Be honest. Does it end positively? Nub says, I will admit, it is kind of a mindfuck. Well, well, shit. Lone says, I have not watched. You have not watched the one? Oh, it's so good. Mike says, what product do you mean? The one in the title of the Okay. I'll bust it up. I'll bust it up for you, Mac. Oh my God, my back. Oh. All right, give me a sec. This is what I so badly want, all right? I hope it exists one day. It may not. But we can hope. We can dream. Oh, God damn it. There it is. I want it to be real, all right? We may unfortunately never reach reality, but it would be nice if it could exist. God damn it, why did that? I lost my music because I clicked go on a stupid thing. Oh, it wasn't even that I canceled. Sorry. A lot's happening off screen. This, and then we'll do this, and then we'll do this. Some of you guys have already seen this, but this is what I want to exist. Nubba's going to love this, I bet. Nubba's going to have so many thoughts on this, I bet. Wrong one. Oh, God. Okay. Oh, I got to pull up my chat again. No, we're fine. I didn't fuck up anything. Okay. Ooh. This is the product I want to exist. Did I loop it? I don't think I looped it. Oh, God. All right. Nub says, I will admit it's kind of a mindfuck. I have never seen... I've never seen the ending yet. Fucking damn it, what? It's so good. I've watched 3 episodes. What? I'm watching it slowly. Okay. Nub says, also, I just bought $800 worth of computer accessories. Why? And what were they? Let me know, actually, what they were. Before I judge you, what were they? I'm curious. Lone says, define no. It's true. I kind of went back on my thing. Okay, so let me explain what this is, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so essentially, this crazy inventor guy came up with a really cool concept. He brought to light 2 problems, okay? One of those problems were as followed. Essentially, one of the best things to have when it comes to movement in video games is a gamepad. So like having a controller, super good. So you have your joystick, which can have like all ranges of movement, right? Whereas a keyboard can only go up, over, and then this way, which is all that you really need. But it makes it so that like if you have a controller that can have like the pinpoint momentum of any direction, awesome. Also, just nice. What makes PC so overpowered though is mouse. So the reason why mouse is so good is because it's always the same uniform movement every single time that you do something. Whereas with gamepad, it's a velocity sensor. So the more you tip this way, the more the thing moves this way. So it's it makes it so that it's less consistent. That's why a mouse, you can literally just go click over there and it can snap click because it's always the same snap distance to get to that location. Now some people can kind of map out the velocity of a trigger of a joystick to kind of get to emulate that to some extent, but it's never as accurate as simply point and click. Now one of the things that that can do this is a trackball. Look at that! Look at that little tiny thing at the back. So you can make tiny adjustments with the... Okay, anyways, I finally found a clip that showed off that shit. Jesus Christ, there's somewhere locked in there. I can't believe it showed up right now. Anyways, so the same thing can be done with a trackball, where you can quickly move, you can spin around, you can make these tinier adjustments. But this is the thing that to me makes it like actually good, because there's concept art of like a controller with a trackball at the very top, but it's just like it just feels weird that you're only using your thumb, and that always felt kind of janky to me. But if you could go behind the controller and your middle finger or your ring finger can actually like make tinier adjustments, because there's just less space to move around for one, so you can only make tinier adjustments with your back of your hand. But then the top of your hand can make these massive adjustments. And also it's not like you're holding a joystick or holding a mouse. It's like you're holding a ball with both ends, which I feel like you could just get really much more like pinpoint with that slight movement. So to me, man, ooh, I so badly want this. Also, the amount of like triggers and the cleverness of the layout of all the buttons, where like you theoretically can aim while shooting. There's buttons on the back as well. It just seems like the coolest solution to all of the problems that he actually brings up in the video, which seem like they're pretty apparent problems, where like, again, how to aim better. There's also 3 triggers on one thing, and then another 3 triggers as well as a mouse wheel on one of the triggers. So that just seems awesome. And he actually shows like a gameplay demo of him, and it just looks like, oh yeah, I would adapt to this. I would adapt to this so much. And also this could also just be like a good controller for your actual like couch. So if you did want to rock, some people have like a living room with a PC right beside it so that they can control it. This had like the mouse wheel box thing, and also like it just seems like it just seems great. It just seems great. I think it looks great. Okay. Definitely a little bit Frankensteinian, but hey. Also, it's the comfort factor, by the way. Just so I don't forget it, the other reason why he wanted to have a gamepad is because he just agreed that like a gamepad is much more comfortable, just like laying it in your hands or in your lap, than having to be over a computer like this. So it's just chill, and also you get all the benefits of everything. Also, Nub said the things he bought were a $300 headset. What the hell was the headset? $100 mouse. I thought you already got like a mouse with like weights in it. Why'd you buy another one? Nub says, and 400 terabytes of SSD. Fuck, for $400. Whew. Jeez Louise. Nub says, not exact value as PC Master Race person controller are really? Oh man, I still love controllers. All right, as much as I do rock some PC stuff every now and again, no. Raid says, my dad was watching Third Body. Was it? Is it good? What did he think about it? I've heard nothing but like you should watch it, and now I'm starting to hear it's good, which I'll watch it then. I'll try to watch. I will see. I get distracted easily. It's also saying that there's an hour of an episode. Mike says, Alice? Alice in Borderlands. Alice in the Borderlands? Maybe not. I think I've heard about it. Season 3 is coming up. Also, Season 4 of Squid Games. Season 2 of Squid Games. Squid Games I never connected with, but I knew a lot of people liked it. But it never like the whole premise to me. I just don't care about the whole game show art trope. But yeah. But Alice in the Borderlands sounds interesting. I thought I heard about it somewhere. Breaking Bad or Walking Dead? Have you seen Breaking Bad or Walking Dead? I've seen a little bit of Breaking Bad. I didn't finish it. I wanted to go back and finish it, or like even get through the first season, because I haven't gotten through the first season. I did watch a little bit of Walking Dead, but man, Mike, I just so much more fall into like the anime sphere of stuff like that, and now I've recently got like sucked into like manga and manhwa, which is like that. Yeah, man. Yeah. Also, because he basically couldn't house all of the electronics because he basically like took out a chunk of the controller, so he just put it into like a little box modem, which I would totally be fine with. I'd be fine with that, especially if I got to have access to all the things. Also, it's good. Admin says, I'm working on something vaguely similar, modifying my keyboard WSD switch to a Dela T. How far to press down? Oh, okay, interesting. A down should be able to modify speed and get those missing movement. Yeah. Well, there's also other people who have there's like a keyboard that you can buy where you basically have like a little analog stick near your thumb, so you still get all your keys, but you still basically can move with your thumb. That is good, but I also think again the reason why he wants it I think is for form factor, for being able to like sit in your lap and to be able to mess with stuff and to be able to aim normally, which I totally get. Like if I could have like the comfort and then also like not feel limited by the fact that I'm using a little joystick and trying to aim. So this is his test, by the way, of him doing using the controller and all that stuff. And he has like I think it's like 4 years on mouse. He has 3 years on gamepad or something like that, and then he has like 4 hours on this. And he's able to like bridge the gap like this. And then he even shows within the data where there are moments where he gets like it all just clicks and he moves really well. This is funny though. So he ended up basically he couldn't. There's like a weird acceleration curve that he needed to kind of match because it doesn't like having it 1-to-1 wasn't perfect. He needs to kind of account for how your brain works essentially. So he ended up doing that, and then he ended up getting much better results for aiming, which this is more comparable, especially with it being like 10% of actual playtime that he has on it. And I just like, again, it looks like a monster. It does look like a monster, but it also looks like it's the best piece of technology that I always want, which is I want the most effective and efficient thing possible. I don't need it to look gorgeous, especially when it's meant to do a function. I want it to be the most functional thing possible that solves as many of the problems that I have with the thing, and then it could look however I want. There are certain things I want to look nice, like clothing, all that stuff, because it's not that hard to not be cold by putting on another layer or something like that. But for something like this, which has like a bunch of complex problems it needs to solve, I want it to look however you need it to look. Okay. Nub says the headset is an Arctic Pro wireless from SteelSeries. Do you got that fucking battery? Do you got the battery that pops out of your own little head and you just pop a little battery, put it in, put it back in? You son of a bitch. That one looks so cool. The microphone is dog shit on it though, so I couldn't get that one. But yes, I did see it too. That one was the one I wanted if I had a dumb amount of money because it just looked like it was really nice to have. Although it is not that hard to like plug in your thing as you go to bed at night. So yeah, it's like you have unending hours of charge, and I'm like, yeah, but I only use it for like 18 hours some days, my headset. So I need to put it down eventually, and it recharges within 2 hours. So, because my old headset battery died, and you were just like, fully send it, let's go. How long did you have that headset then? I haven't heard of a headset like battery dying. Nub says, and my mouse clicker died, so I had to buy a new one. Damn. You must be clicking a lot for your mouse to die. Whew. Nub says, my bro says I could have just bought a new trigger for like $20. Yeah. And you're like, nah, I did the time. Nub says, so I told him, now I have 2 mice of the exact same type to test it on. Oh yeah, it was like 5 years. Really? Wow, 5 years. And 4 years for the mouse. That's pretty good then. I think it's one of the things that I think is a good metric. This is the guy who made it, by the way, made the prototyping of it all. And again, I hate it. I wish he like patented it and then just tried to get greedy. I want to buy this. I would buy this 100%. This like controller thing. I know it sounds weird, but if you watch this 20-minute video, which doesn't feel that long, of him to show like why talking about all the problems that we have with controllers and mouse and stuff, like, especially a person who's done both. I would totally fucking buy this. I'd even overpay for this. I'd pay like $200 for this, which is a little excessive. It's about the same as on the Elite controller, I guess, for Xbox, some shit. But still, I'd overpay for this because I think it's just, I want it. I thought I have a very bad problem with being a hyper obsessive person a little bit. Only about things. Thankfully, it's never had happen with people. But it's only with things where like I'll think about something. Like if you guys order something on Amazon, are you just like, oh wow, that came in today? That's surprising. Or are you like checking the tracking every day because you're a freak? Because you're just like, it's almost here. It's almost here. I can't wait. I have something to look forward to. Alone says, although cool, not most visually appealing controller. Who needs it to be? Who is looking at their own controller as it needs to be a piece of art? What a psychotic thing. I love the trackball thing at the bottom. That bell backhand thing is crazy. It's such a good idea. Also, he made his own VR headset, which is wild. This guy's a freak. The guy who makes this shit is crazy. Also, Nub says, also, yeah, I like the removal. Yeah, the removable battery is sick. It just seems like you're like popping in a shell to like a gun or something. It's pretty rad. I was my first time having a headset battery die, because normally the headset itself just dies because their builds are fucking garbage. I see. Also, yeah, I like the removable batteries because it allows me to buy new batteries if they have a breaks again. That's true. Yeah, so long as the construction is pretty good, you're probably pretty right. Also, the mic seems it seems good enough for like playing with like over Xbox Live or something, or on Discord, but not like you want to. Yeah, if you heard that mic come up on a YouTube video, you'd be like, ew. I can only watch 5 minutes, 8 minutes maybe. Mike says, Mike says, you can maybe make this drop shipping product. Oh, what do you go? Yeah, well, he did do a lot of like 3D designs, but I don't think it exactly works because he did take like an Xbox controller, I think it's an Xbox Elite controller, and then he like broke it apart essentially, and then like used a trackball and like merged the two. So theoretically, it's basically two plugs going into one thing, which some games don't support. Basically, the constant pivoting of like two different types of controls. Like I can, we were playing Dragon Zombie yesterday, and I was able to like move my joystick forward and then use my mouse cursor to aim. Some games don't do that; they don't let you like like jump back and forth between things, but most shooters I think do. Lone says, speaking of an anime, I finished Immortal Guild, and I then started to watch Kingdom of the Ruin. Made it to episode 3. Kingdom of the Ruin. Huh. What is it about? And I stopped watching it. Didn't enjoy it. Now I'm wow. It's one of the first things I've heard from you, Lone, where you're like, I started watching an anime and just stopped. That's it. I don't think I've ever heard you talk about that. You've always been like, I watched it. It was okay. I finished it. I'm like, okay. Fluff says, I didn't check tracking often unless they don't provide any AT. Really? Oh, I check tracking a lot. It's something to look forward to. So I like these are all the concept designs, by the way, of him like talking about the trackballs that like this was back when Valve was making their own controller, and they were trying to solve the same problem of like trying to bridge the gap between PC and controller. And they aimed for like touch pads where you aim and like you drag your finger across stuff, which was just a bad choice. But this thing, man, this thing makes sense. But also I get it because the trackball is kind of a meme in general in the community of like anything gaming. Like I think there's a guy who does trackball gaming and he's pretty good at it, but like everyone's just like, listen, man, you're just stubborn. You're just a stubborn bastard. Use a goddamn mouse. But if you had a trackball that you could control basically from the bottom and the top, that's different to me. That like it changes the game completely. I love how he puts like a little rotator wheel on it too. Like that's just so fun to me, right between those two big left trigger and right trigger. He puts the middle mouse button there, and then I think he puts the scroll wheel right there. And dude, oh, and then he puts that. Okay, so left click is also that's so smart. Okay, that's awesome. I guess I do like having the. I guess you do have extra wheels though, like the Y, the X, and all that stuff is like extra wheels, so you don't necessarily need the click of the mouse wheel. Anyways, Nub says, I'll be lurking in the background as he recedes into the depths of the night, essentially. Fluff says, I don't check the thing. Generally, we just get alerts from our Echo device or via email text. Really? Oh, I like when we order off Amazon is like a thing. Also, this is where he came up with the ergonomics, which is fun. But anyways, but yeah, I think what to call it. I wanted to tell you guys one thing, but I can't think of what the fuck it was. Uh, Also, it's crazy to have the skill set to be able to prototype all this stuff and like then actually make it. It's just wild, especially going from like nothing to something. It's wild. Yeah, that's crazy. Just from the see that like the two fingers, just fucking. I couldn't imagine that like again because your little back finger would be just like for like little tiny aiming like left to right, and then your thumb would just be for these sweeping motions. Anyway, I gotta stop. I've been thinking about this for a healthy amount of time, and I come back to the video and I look at the comments, and everyone's just like, "Patent this and sell this, please. I want it." And I don't think he will because he's out there making like fucking I don't know glowing a hoverboard or some shit. This guy's crazy. He makes all kinds of weird shit. But I will say, I started reading this one manhwa because I'll bore you guys now. And man, oh, it's a manhwa about a spear. All right, a guy who rocks a spear. He starts nuking shit. It's kind of good. I don't know. I feel like I need to kind of I need to go back and read some of the other manhwa that I read, just because I'm starting to get a little bit fatigued. You know, I don't want to hate the medium, although maybe that's for the best. Because yeah, let us get back to other things. Uh, Lone says a kingdom of ruin sets itself up to be a revenge story, and it's about how good. Sorry, it's about how God made witches and humans. The witches would oversee humans and guide them, but as time went on and tech evolved, witch hunts started. Ooh, that's kind of fucky. I mean, I don't love that they're like, guide these feeble mortals. That's a little bit like, fuck off me kind of thing. But, at the same time, a part of me is like, well, were they nice about it? I don't know the baseline of the story. Oh, I did. Yeah, I think I told you guys about that one. A manhwa I read that was basically like the longest. Like we're 80 chapters in, and he finally got to the apocalypse day where like he gets teleported to another world. But we're like reading about how he's like grinding through all this shit, and it was very tough to read. But hey, also, Lone, there was an anime that I want to tell you about to see if you read or seen. It was I seen it in passing. And I thought, oh shit, did Lone enjoy that one? I can't think of what it is. Oh, it must have been a dream, an illusion, some bullshit. Ooh. But yes, my eyes are drying up. Oh man, give me one sec. Oh, jeez, I'm gassing out a little bit. I'm getting hot. I'm getting overly warm. Oh, whose idea was it to wear a sweater when you're talking to people for hours on end? Oh, but, what? Is anyone playing a game again? I keep thinking about like, I keep thinking about what we're gonna do after we do Dragon's Dogma and maybe some Helldiver. I keep thinking about what we could possibly do. Oh, my neck. Oh, I keep thinking about what we could do after we're done doing some Helldiver and some Dragon's Dogma. And yeah, I'm kind of thinking. I'm kind of thinking that we might, and I mean might, get into. Maybe I'll just do this. We might get into some absolutely dope as hell Destiny. I bit my tongue. Destiny 2. I'm not sure about it, but maybe. Is the audio worse or better? Hopefully, it's just the same. Also, Lone says the story starts off with the witch and a student on the run. First off, the main character, the student, is very unlikable from the moment you see him. He's a douche. They get captured. They kill the witch. Fast forward 10 years. Now the story starts. What the fuck? I'm not sold. I'm not sold at all. Not only is he a doucher, but his teacher dies for him, I would assume. And yeah, what a nightmare. Also, anyone who's just playing, like using a trackball, just as is, what an animal. What an absolute animal. Mike says, do you know how to play chat? I don't, Mike. I've never gotten into that. Also, it's too much. I feel like I don't know. It's not that it's not appealing in any way. It's just kind of just enough to be kind of like I see a lot of trends going. To me, I think I just like stimulus. I got a problem with like needing to feel alive, you know. So like when I play a game, I tend to like games that are like reactionary based. If you make a mistake, you can like backpedal, fix the mistake, and then rush forward again, and basically have netted not losing any time. Chess to me seems like it's a very rhythmic game, like a passing of a back and forth, a like a reactionary in a slower way. And that to me, not that it doesn't seem interesting. I get it. I get why people are so into it, but I don't know if it's for me. You know, hmm. Man, I don't know if I really like jive with any of those kinds of games. Like anything like Monopoly, I'm not big into that. I will say there are some games that to me are that were interesting. The Red Tavern Inn, I think, is one which I thought would be really fun to play if you ever had like a group of friends, but it was crazy. It seems like a ton of fun. The Red Tavern Inn, I think, is what it's called. But yeah, that's one of the board games I was like that one might be fun. But as far as things like I think there's Kenshogi or something like that. Oh, a lot of those ones which I'm like maybe, but I don't know. I know it's probably great. I also know it's good for your brain. That's also one of the interesting arguments I've heard against AI, or people who are like people say a lot of stuff about AI of how it's going to replace everything and how there's going to be no reason to do X, Y, or Z anymore. And but people made a good argument for why that's just not the case. For like like many years ago, people made a machine that could basically beat any human being and massively outperform a grandmaster chess player essentially. But and yet chess is still just as popular or more popular, despite we have robots that could technically do it much better. So, in the same sense, in the same sense, maybe the whole AI thing that's not how it would actually end up working either. You know. Can you solve any Rubik's Cube? I can solve. I used to be able to. I remember I mapped it out once and I stopped because I was like, uh, there's other fidgets that are much more fidgety that I quite like. Like I picked up the what is it called? A butterfly knife. That's just a trainer. It's not like it's gonna stab me. And it was just nice. It was just a lot of. It was great. A lot of sound effects. Sound effects. What about you, Mike? What kind of things? What kind of things did you get into? Can you? I imagine you could do all that. Rubik's cube, etc. You must like puzzle games. Have you ever gotten into? Have you ever seen any of those like complex puzzle boxes where like it's literally like made of wood? I think it's made by one guy and they're quite expensive. Um, but the same idea essentially that like it's just a complex thing, or if you got to pull this back, push this forward, add pressure to these points, and then it snaps open. I feel like people who like stuff like that, people who like to like complex equations and like kind of figuring things out, they would love those kinds of things. I would love it if I just had it on my desk and I just kind of like fiddle with it one day and then I keep fiddling with it over like weeks and weeks of time, and then finally I do something that snaps open and I have no idea what I did, and I just think, well, I'm never closing this again because I had no idea what I did. And that's just the world we live in. Okay, there's an open box, and if anyone ever touches it, I'll freak out. I'll scream really loud. Ray says, "All right, I'm back. I had to help my dad bring in the TV. Oh, you get a brand new TV? Is it big, dude?" Dude, to me, the dream setup would be to have a curved monitor that's frankly just too big, and one of those like real dumb money expensive ones, which I would never actually probably buy. But hey, um, kind of like below, like on a lower like eye line, and then having a big TV in the background, just like a TV, maybe 60 frames per second. Doesn't need to be crazy, but just there. And then you just feel like I never need to leave my room again, and I have conditioned myself to be even more isolated. These might have been bad choices, but they were what we chose. Sorry for the weird ASMR. That's my bad. Let's say I don't know if I love the elongated trigger like that. It's kind of odd. Lone says, based on the memory of those who. Oh wait, honestly a strong start. I like the visuals and I want to read that. I like the visuals and anime doesn't hold anything back, but this problem starts when they don't commit to a thing. Like by episode 2, it turns out the witch can be revived. based on the memories of those who were close to and it's kind of like building up the shock value. Essentially in the first episode they got tossed. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's like, what if we didn't do that? It was all a dream. Have one of those and you're like, ah. um Raid says, did the thing. Mike says, yes, there's a YouTuber who makes these puzzle boxes. Yeah, man, there's one that I watched who's like, it just seems like, man, he must be retired or something, you know? Cause damn, cause damn, he's sitting there like, and he's like sanding this one like thing just to be soft enough so that like this latch will skid right by it. And you're like, this man must spend like, no joke, 24 hours a day just doing this, and it's just like, damn. Like he clearly is, he makes enough money to survive, so it's just surprising. It's just like, damn. Lone says, those reasons I stopped watching it, which I'm kind of disappointed because when I first aired, I read the summary and was like, all right, I'm in, cool. When I watched it, and I'm like, how this is not good. Yeah. I thought the same thing with the witch, the Dawn Witch. Is that right? I think it's called the Dawn Witch. I remember I watched that anime alone, and I thought it'd be like my brother was telling me about it. I thought it'd be really cool. I love the idea of like kind of like the idea of like in a world of magic. There's a guy who's like kind of like an emo dude who fucking has like bottomless magic, but also kind of like doesn't remember what the fuck's going on. That's fun. That's fun. It's also he starts learning, and all of the like people around him are like, why isn't he bottoming out yet? What's going on? Sounds also very lewd. Anyways, point is, point is, I watched the show and I was like, they didn't really do anything fun with the story. You know, he's kind of even like he never like gets motivated to like he could become stronger. He kind of just they have a couple fun things they throw in there where like your proportion of mana is proportional to how long you'll live. So he basically will be like the longest immortal sorcerer ever because he has bottomless magic essentially. And I'm like, that's awesome. That's very cool. But then they just don't do anything with it. They don't like give him a magic that like transfers his life force, but it doesn't matter because he's fucking immortal. Yeah. Kind of like that, where it's like you gave me fun things to play with, and you've not let me play with them once. So it's like, what the fuck's the point? I can solve 2x, 2x, 3x, mega minix. God damn, man, you must just be cooking sitting there, Mike. Jeez, Louise, that's a hell of a feat. Well done, my friend. That's crazy. Good for you. Yeah, that's just wild. That's just wild. You have a mind for complexity and patterns. You should do YouTube for sure. Raid says, well, is my dad's gotta be the one using it to but it's a 65-inch TV. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Yeah, it's pretty good. Although TVs have gotten just like freakishly cheaper nowadays. I remember back when like a big TV was like $2,000 minimum, and now it seems like they're around $1,000, which is still a lot, but it's not like, especially for how much bigger you're able to get it and how better the color and stuff like that is. Wild. Mike says, do you think screen affect brain? What's this? Do you think screen affects brain activity? Like screens affect brain activity? I'm feeling quite hollowed up there after 8 hours of PlayStation. Yeah, no, absolutely, man. I mean, I do and I don't. I think there is a fatigue. I wouldn't say if it's like it's degrading. I think it's basically a metric of recovery. So I do think if you're stagnant and like looking at something for a long period of time, and it's stimulating, and your brain like there's reasons why you're paying attention to it, that can kind of be good, but it also can be very, very bad because you're kind of like, ugh. But anyways, the answer is I think you definitely can get like brain melt or like brain rot essentially by like doing one thing for too long, especially if it's like looking at a screen. But I also don't agree with the idea that you can't reset your brain really quickly. Like if you're just like, I just want to go for a 10-minute walk, or I just want to get up and go pet my dogs for a couple minutes, like things like that I think are a really good way to reset your brain and like say, okay, let's either do something else or let's go back into the thing that we were doing that was fun. But man, I remember back in the day I used to be able to do that, like just fully fully commit to like 8 hours of playing a video game, but then I realized I started not enjoying it as much. So then I started getting up. I did like a couple push-ups. I went back to playing. I get up, went for a walk. Again, played with my dogs. Usually go-to thing I do. And then come back, and I'm like, all right, now I feel refreshed. I'm ready to go again. We're good. Lone says, honestly, it was the second anime I ever stopped watching for the sole reason I didn't enjoy. That's crazy, Lone. I know. I was about to say I've very rarely ever seen you like be like, I'm not gonna watch it. I've always remember you be like, yeah, I'll watch it. I don't remember. I'm similar in that sense of like I like to at least when it comes. I used to be bad with it, but then I kind of fixed myself and I finished a bunch of anime. But I can't remember the last one I stopped watching outside of the one that I told you about recently, which was the Mashallah strongman wizard McGee. Which again I want to go back and watch because I think I could like it. I think I just need to get past the first couple of bits and kind of fall into the absurdity of the world. I may be able to watch it then. Lone says Dawn of the Witch. That's what it was. I remember I told you. Yeah. You told me. Oh, my brother also told me about it and stuff like that. And again, I thought it was good. I just thought I wish they did more stuff with the anime, like more stuff with the ideas. Sorry. Mike says, do you have any hobbies or what's your job? Do you want to learn a new skill maybe? For me, Mike, my main thing right now, just in case you're not in the loop with my whole weird shit, is my main thing is I just want to get much better at just making content for people that people like, essentially. I know people really like the Let It Die stuff. I'm happy that they really enjoy it and all that stuff. I'm happy that I did that. But what do you call it? To me, I really just want to. That's all I do. So if any hobby that I have is all, at least for the last 2 years or a year and a half, I should say, has been just about like YouTube. So I wake up, I do a bunch of research about what people like to click on, what people are watching, why they watch it. Then I deconstruct that into its variable things of like engagement and what were the things that people did here that made them pull in. I break that into a way that I can actually make sense of it, like tempo and rhythm, and how do they edit this, how do they pace this video out, etc. Then I recently, and this is something I'm trying to get back into now, but I'm trying to find out how to basically understand the audience that I do have over at our One VR channel, which I don't know if you know this, Mike, but we do have a don't go over there and look at the videos if you're not into VR, but we do have a VR channel, which is what my main focus has been for many years now. I should say year now. It's been 2 or 3 years maybe. I don't know. But yeah, that's been my focus. So yeah, that's what I'm doing over there. But that's where my main thing is. So I wake up, I do a bunch of research, I edit a video, I record a video, and I make a thumbnail. And it may sound like one hobby, but like making a thumbnail is pretty intricate. Doing all those weird things is pretty intricate in its own way. So yeah, those are the things that I currently locked in. I'm locked in for. As far as my job, I mean, in some cases, I work for my parents essentially whenever they need help, like watching the shop or anything like that. But for more or less, I just focus all my attention on trying to become better at the skill set that I hope I can become good enough to where I could actually turn this into a career of some kind, whether it's helping other people do it or helping myself do it more, or something like that. But maybe I don't have the skill set for it, but or like the personality or the whatever that it is. But I hope I can find it and become better enough to where I can. Yeah, succeed, I guess. Um, But as far as the skill set that I'm learning right now, I'm trying to learn music essentially. So I bought a piano that I just keep not having enough time to focus on learning it. And it's not a piano; it's a MIDI essentially. It's a MIDI controller because that's a big it's a big leverage point for YouTube is to be able to make sounds and music that can like really pull people in, and to be able to do that to create any sound that I want is nice. But that's like kind of a journey to do because you need to understand the rhythm of music or like the foundational building blocks of music. And then how to piece that together, and then how to apply it quickly so that you can actually use it in a video. I think I just need to do more of it because I did do a little bit of it and it actually worked out really well, and then I just stopped because I'm a dummy. Raid says, yeah, that's what he said too. Yeah. Or for like the TV prices, yeah. What about you, Mike? What are your hobbies? What's your job? What you get up to in life? Mike says there are at least 30 algorithms you got to know for all of those cubes. Some are 14 rotations. Took me 4 months. But yeah, that's incredible. That's incredible that you had the dedication and focus to like maintain and keep pace with that. That's incredible. Well done, Mike. Yeah, I can only imagine. There's like, yeah, when you look at a problem and you think, yeah, I don't even need to look at it for more than 10 seconds to realize this is too much work for me. I just don't have an interest in it. Like if I was at least interested in it, I'd be like, I could suffer through it to become better. But when you don't even have an interest, it's one of those things where like, that's incredible, but I don't need to know more. Damn. Raid says, pretty sure he bought this one for like $500. Yeah, actually, that makes sense. Especially, well, I don't know, man, because for stuff like that, I oftentimes think you're better off just waiting for like a Giga sale on Black Friday or like Boxing Day. But yeah. I wonder if that's actually a thing anymore. Like, I honestly don't even. Yeah, I feel like if you were to really to think about it, like what I'm paying now versus what I'm paying one of those special days, I feel like it's a scam. I feel like you're not getting that good of a deal. Now I am. Lone says, now I'm watching the Sacred Blacksmith, and I'm having a good time. What's that one? The Sacred Black. What's that one? I did see a lot of anime that. Like manga that I've been reading. I guess that makes sense. Anime always comes from manga, so it's weird that like I'm now in the category of like, oh, I've seen that manga, and it's becoming an anime. Holy shit! Like one, yeah, that's what I wanted to tell you, Lone. That was the anime scene. There's an anime with like a dude who gets like a purification spell, and then he goes into like a forest, and then he ends up like fighting. Yeah, no, he goes into town. He meets this cat girl essentially, and he goes into the forest. And then the cat girl turns out is actually a demon. He then uses purification, cleanses the demon. Now it's his familiar / like kind of uncomfortably young wife, essentially. But she got like an age bump, but it's still not enough. Anyways, anime being toxic and gross aside, yes. Lone says, also, Grin, did I ever tell you about the manga I read called The Hero Took Everything From Me, so I partied with the hero's No, I I haven't, but I've heard something about it. I've heard something about it of like this weird like it's like a classic, one of the biggest like like tropes that's hilarious on this damn thing. In manga is like the trope of like betrayed from the hero's party. I was betrayed. I didn't tell them that I was doing all of this really important, helpful stuff to them. Therefore, they only thought I was running away from monsters. Meanwhile, I was giving them the most broken buff, but I didn't tell them about it for no reason. And yeah, and then they kick me out of the party, and they're needlessly evil. Like they're like maniacally evil in a dumb way. Anyways. But that's the trope. So now that I imagine this is just an evolution of the trope of not only did I get kicked out of the party, but I'm going to go fuck your mom, essentially. Or essentially, it's the opposite. It's like, you kicked me out of the party, guess what? You're going to fuck your mom. Yeah. Okay. Also, Mike says, working at a grocery store and going to school. Ooh, what's you going to school for? Also, how bad is the customer service? Not customers. How bad is it being involved in customer maybe not working at the teller. I always assume when people say grocery store, it's at the teller. But maybe it's it's like stacking shelves and moving product, which is equally as probably more actually taxing for different reasons. I guess physically taxing, whereas the mental tax is probably less. I don't know if that's true though, because I do still feel like even people who, unless you're like Fluffy, who was working in the night shift, I still feel like you get like pestered by some random asshole who's like, "Do you know where this is?" And you're like, "Yeah, I do. It's over here." Although, funnily enough, those people never really seem like they're mean. Whenever I'm like, "Do you know where this is?" They're like, "Yeah, it's right here," because I think that's what they do. They put stuff away. It's funny because I think like a grocery store is big, but I think also if you were to like work there for like 3 months, I think you would eventually map out everything. Like, oh, this is where this goes. This is where that goes. You'd be shocked about how much your brain can kind of parse through data. Or memorize things, I should say. Also, Mike says, what's the race of your dog? Mike, we have 3 dogs. We have a miniature Yorkie. That was my mom's pick. I did not choose, but I love him dearly. As much as he is a literal ferret, he is this big, that big. He's a miniature Yorkie. Mutated to shit. I love him to bits. I wish he had the same. I wish a bigger dog with same personality. Anyways, Probably not, because he's kind of a little dog asshole a little bit sometimes. Anyways, we have that. We have a Shih Tzu, I think, named Bella, who's sweet and old. And then we have a boxer named Duke, which, by the way, boxers are one of the most enchanting and fun and goofy dog breeds you could possibly get, but most people should not have them at all. The reason why is because they are extremely energetic and they are extremely dependent on you. If you wanted to feel clingy love like you would never believe, and like world-shattering anxiety and stress when you leave and come back, this is a boxer. Nothing can ever become more than a boxer than this trait. Okay, of them being like, the world shatters around them when you're not with them. They want to literally be attached to your hip all the time, and that's okay for some people. Lone says it's about a dude who gets a harem of hara who are all mothers. That's awesome. Oh no, I thought it was just one. You're talking about all of like the sage who's always in the party, the fucking dumb brawler. Oh, that's so good too, because there's not like they can beat the shit out of them because their moms would be like, leave him alone. Oh, you may need to send me that. Oh wait, no, it's a manga, right? It's probably going to become a TV series or like a anime. Shit, you may need to even just send me the manga because that just sounds like a fun read. Holy shit. I should send you that one loan that I read where it's like, I remember it's that one that's like the gender bender reverse of the like princess trope, into the one where it's like in a world of women who are basically switch placed with the aristocracy of dudes. So it's basically women are the powerhouses in this world, and it's like medieval times. Women go to war. Women do all the hard stuff. Women go like shovel shit. Men are considered like prize pool people, like treasures because there's so few of them because the population just is that way. For every like one dude, there's like 20 women. But in that same world, the same trope of like a battle-hardened knight nurturing his daughter to be like a badass a swordsman is existing in this one too, except it's the opposite. It's a mother who's a badass swordsman who trains her son, who in this world is the equivalent of the daughter, to be like a badass swordsman who just fucking beats the shit out of stuff. And I think, yeah, that one I think you would like too. And it was also, the art is very, very interesting, we'll say, in that one too. I think you'd kick out of that one too. I hope that one has an anime soon. It's not that many chapters too, so you wouldn't have to read for very long. Alone says, and it's one of the funniest. Yeah, I'm gonna say that's just the premise. You made it so much more funny now that I think it's not just one. It's not just him going after like the main hero's mom, and then it's just being like a real but instead, the whole thing. Alone says it's about a dude. Or I read that. Fluff says, I worked night shift and barely overlapped with customers, especially with my shift moving from exactly closing and opening time. Fluff says, but I did have help a few customers before that. Oh, wow. I didn't know. That's interesting. I guess people do come in at night. I guess that's true. That's fair. Especially not most convenience stores. Not convenience stores. Most grocery stores have that, like, of a long, like, stay open a long time. Mike says, what do you mean women go to war in the world? I don't think war exists kind of. Oh no, sorry. This is a manga. This is a manga I was telling you guys about, where like it was one of the first pervy manga that I wanted to tell you guys about because I just thought it was so funny. It was more funny than it was pervy. But the idea is that again, it's like you take a normal like olden day what is it called? Olden day, like aristocracy, Knights of the Round Table kind of era, and then you basically swap the gender roles of that time, and everything is swapped. So the main dude is actually considered like a novelty. Like, why is the dude a soldier and all that stuff? Why is and again to counter it in the nighttime, like why is this beautiful princess wanting to be a knight or something like that? It's the same premise, and yeah, it's just a goofy fun time. And again, this is the one where it's like it's funny because it's fucked up because the manga has so much fun with switching gender roles. So like, or pushing against gender roles, I guess, or not gender roles, but like pushing against tropes. I guess I should say tropes is a better way of phrasing it. So like one of the things is how do I phrase it properly? The if essentially like one of the things that would be considered disgusting in those kinds of things. So imagine a setup where it's like two princes who basically like go up to this knight who is regal and just and like stoic. And then they like slap her on the ass or something like that, or they talk about like maybe she'll blow us later or something horrible. You think of like gross, scummy, evil, maniacal prince, nasty. But then they inverse this to be where it's just basically like the two princes and this grown ass dude who's gigantic, and these two princesses go up to him and slap this guy on the ass essentially, and he's kind of just like, this is sexual harassment, dude. But he doesn't hate it, which is the weird thing. But anyways, then they kind of go and they say the same thing. We're like, maybe we can convince him to go down on us if we if we win him over to our side or something. So it's just really funny with the way it plays with these stupid gender roles. It's great. It's great. It's solid. Um. Um. Lone says it's only Grin. I sent you the link, and yes, send me the way. I'll try to remember to get it to you. I hope I can remember. I think I bookmarked it somewhere. Hopefully. Lone says, yeah, there is a scene at the start where the hero is sees the MC with his mom, and the mom just tells him off like how could he do that to his best friend? Let's go. That's all. I can't wait. Oh, that's gonna be funny. Oh, wait, is it an anime or is it a manga, or is it both? Huh. Regardless, yeah, if it's an anime, that's huge. That's probably gonna do really well because I think that's like the right kind of goofy. Alone says this sacred blacksmith is about a female knight who isn't that good at her job, but a blacksmith comes to her aid and uses his magic to forge blades of immense power. Okay. Is this the anime that I'm thinking of? Because this is a really popular manga if it is. There's a manga that I read, which I think is maybe similar, where it's like this old guy who works in the modern day, who's like a really beautiful machinist. Like he's really good about crafting anything. It takes a lot of time in like his craft. He smokes a ton of cigarettes. He ends up dying by overworking himself by like focusing on the craft of the things he's creating. Even though this like evil manufacturer is like, make us more stuff. It doesn't need to be perfect. And he's like, nope, I'm gonna make it perfectly as possible because that's my art. He works so hard he dies. He gets isekai'd into a new world, and then he ends up like basically learning how they make like magical weapons instantaneously, like really fast, and then he starts like making godly weapons for her. Is that the same show? I think he makes like her first weapon is like a pistol, I think, or is it like a shield? I think it's a pistol. Is that the same manga? Does he have like long ponytail with like gritty face? He's like a kid when he gets reborn. Is it a different thing? It might be a different thing. But there's a lot of fun like mangas that are around blacksmith. Like that's a whole genre within itself of like the blacksmith trope because it's just kind of like it's endless. You can make like guns. You can make anything. Also, Mike says, this is my first time in the stream. When is the next one? The next one, Mike, is going to be, we always stream every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Saturday is usually always our hangout stream. Thursday is usually our VR stream, but sometimes we change it up because there's new games that are like more interesting to us. So we're playing a lot of Dragon's Dogma right now, which is awesome, by the way, Mike. I think you like it. I think if you like, well, I don't know, Let It Die is an interesting game where it's kind of like it hyper values like difficulty, but the battles and the spectacles of Dragon's Dogma 2 are pretty fun. I think you'd like it. Also, what do you call it? Nub says, I'm being lurking. Find a doctor. Yeah. Did you make any progress, Nub, on finding a doctor? Or no? Are you still just up shit creek without a paddle? Lone says, it's a manga that I found. Okay, cool. I can't wait to see it. Yeah, I thought I heard about it, something like that. That's why I mean it's kind of a meme. So, there's a bunch of manga that are like that. The only thing that sucks about those ones is that it's a really fun like prompt. Usually only people who have like the courage to be really, really silly pursue that kind of manga, or like idea, I guess. But then it very much like they show their inexperience a little bit with not being able to like deliver on XYZ, whatever it is, whether it's like staying with the story for long periods of time and making it like meaningful or something like that. So it's tough. I hope that yeah, even the story that I'm telling you about, the one with like the gender bender version of the One People, super fun, but it is also very limited in the sense that like there's a chapter every 3 or 4 months, and you're like, oh, come on. Mike says, "What's manga, by the way?" Okay, so basically, like comic books. I guess the best way to put it, Mike, if you have no idea, there's basically like comic books from the thing, from the West essentially, which is like Superman, all that kind of stuff. But then manga are basically like, think of it like the comic books of Japan and the East, I guess. So there's manga, which is basically just like comic book stories, except instead of like it being about superheroes and all that stuff, it's about goofy things like if you were plucked out of your current day and thrown into through like to like a fantasy world, I guess, or something like that. Lone says no, it's different anime. Oh, okay, gotcha. Oh, that's a different show then. Gotcha. But yeah, what do you call it? Manga is that. Then there's something called manhwa, which is it's similar. Basically, it's if manga is Japanese's version of comic books, which is a really crude way of putting it, but it's just the best way I think that I can make it for people who don't know what that is. Which is just like stories of every kind of category. It's usually just the format of like panels, like comic books, but with a special kind of art style. Usually, it's not very comic book art style-y. It's more like it's unique. It's kind of like anime, if you've ever heard of my anime. But anyways, then there's manhwa, which is instead of it being kind of Japan's version of comic books, but it's Asia's or Korea's version of comic books. So it's basically just one long ass strip of you scrolling, and then each panel is like a different thing that's happening in the story. But it's basically just kind of like a story. So manga is essentially just like a story, but with a lot of pictures and things like that. Hopefully that makes sense. It's kind of, I've never heard people, most people that are in our weird space happen to know about weird things like anime and manga. So this is the first time I've heard about this, which is not a bad thing. Also, is there a button? No, I thought he was putting a button right beside the trackball. That'd be weird. Lone says, Mike, Grand stream Friday that. Yeah, so I forgot to say that. Yeah, I forgot to say we stream every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and we stream usually at 5 p.m. most days, with the exception of this day. Today on our Hangout stream, just because I want to hang out with you guys for a little bit longer. And also I wanted to make it so that for people who couldn't make it to the 5 p.m. streams because maybe it was too late because they live in a weird time zone, that we stream at 1 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, which for me right now it is 2:44 in Canada, in Alberta specifically. So if you're wondering why we stream the way we do, is because this is a good time for me, but normally we stream at 5 p.m. just because it lets me have my day still. I can like edit videos for most of the day, and then I can just stream at the end of it. But yes, so Friday and Thursday are always 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, and then 1 p.m. Mountain Standard Time is on Saturday, just in case there's people who can't make it to those other two streams. Then we have a different adjustment, I guess. And every now and again, if there's a game that's really like interesting and we want to play more of it together, we sometimes stream even longer. So we sometimes stream at like 1 p.m. and then just stream like for 5 hours up until 5 or 6 because we're just having a good time. Also, Nub says, okay, minor update. Don't do this to me, Nub. Nub says over on Twitch, he says, okay, minor update for the 3-body problem. Oh no, the reason why I started laughing because it's usually Nub. Nub is the most chaotic enjoyer of content I've ever watched in my life. It's always, I hate it. Okay, it's great now. No, it's the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. And then it's okay, it's good, it's back good. And I'm like, what? Can you just say like this part was weak? Yeah. Okay, minor update for the 3-body problem. Episode 5, the title is Really Isn't Real. The mindfuckery gets worse. Great. Don't tell me it's like it's a simulation within a simulation, and then you're going like 5 layers deep, and you realize that actually this was all nothing, and you're a worm. Would you love your wife if she was a worm? I don't know. Oh boy. Lone says, also Grin, still want to show you my latest Nikita. Hit me with it. You should have hit me with that sooner. Actually, we were gonna wind down a little bit there, but then I got a second wind. Hit me with that. Ladies and gentlemen, Lone plays this weird. I told me to be this way, Lone, but I want to be honest. Lone plays this slightly weird game called Nikita, which is a mobile gacha game where he basically just a bunch of schmexy anime women, essentially. That's the thing. That's the TLDR. So he's going to show us some of the new schmexy anime women. Hopefully they look great. I bet they do. He said one of them was one of his favorite looking characters, so I have high expectations. Set me up high, Lone. Just brought me back down. Lone Nub says, weird you mentioned worms. Why? Is there an actual worm? I brought up worms because it was a stupid question that like TikTok popped off with, which is like girls asking their boyfriends if they would still love them if they were a worm or some bullshit. And the dudes are always just like, what? What is going on? Like, what is happening to your brain? Lem says, cause that's what I was told. Cause that was told to humanity as a whole. What? Worms? You're a worm? Jeez. Okay. Oh, that'd be crazy if some person who is like one of the most like deeply profound thoughts in the planet of like this weird worm idea, and then you find out that the author is like, yeah, I just thought that meme was fucking hilarious about the girls asking their boyfriends about would they love them if they were a worm, and I just fucking sent it. And they're like, okay, what? Lone says, I play this I play this incredibly cultured game called Nikita. That's a great way. I should just let you explain it. Do you send it my way, Lone? Oh, my body. Oh, my back. Oh, stretch. You can see the veins pop out of my head. Let's not do that. Oh, my spine. Oh, golly. I'd mention more, but it's a minor spoiler. All right, well, I probably will watch it eventually, so probably you can tell me if you want, but it's okay. It's all right. Hit me with it, not Lone. There it is. No, Lone is still sending it. Ooh, someone did message me in the Helldivers tab thing. Also, Mike says only 3 viewers. Yes, we are not popular. We are not very killing it. But hey, I love my little community here, and I could only be more grateful for having one peer person still be here. So, but it's more like 4 because Nub's over on Twitch, so there is something there. Nub says, I had mentioned more, but it's my spoiler. Also, I need to make a turret platform for the genre mix game I'm playing, so I can place turrets and transport with the base. Ooh, okay. Some more tower defense things, man. Ooh, some people really get into tower defense things. I sent it. Well, it's sending. Okay, I'll wait. I'll wait a little bit. Hopefully, it goes through fast. Mike says, you have a Discord server? Yeah, we have a Discord server. If you go scroll down, if you're at the Twitch or the YouTube, yeah, if you open up the Discord or description in the YouTube, you should see that one of the tabs says Discord, and it will take you there. But yes, we have a Discord server. We probably will. It usually happens where it's kind of inactive until it isn't, until people just, until something happens, whether it's we use it more. All right, this is one of them. So this is the character that Lone. It's a lot, Lone. It is a lot. Hopefully it's not too much. Let's see. Okay, so this is one of the Nikitas. It's a little bit, yeah. Again, this is a mobile game where you basically pull a little switch, and it basically gives you a bunch of random waifus. All right, they all have guns. This is for a specific kind of cultured individual. Yeah. I just thought I would we have some people who maybe are not aware of this. The cheerleader thing, I think, looks cute. It's kind of nice. There's a lot of ass. It's a lot of ass. The gun, kind of mid. I like that. I like the art. I do think, again, it's one of the things where I think less is more sometimes. This is one of the ones where it's a lot. It's the definition of too much, maybe. Okay. But the cheerleader thing has always kind of been on that line of a wee bit much. See, that one looked a little more balanced. My God. Okay. Well, that one. All right. All right. We get it. That one was a little much. I don't know why that one was so much to me. Maybe it's because of the cheerleader vibe. I like the look of it, but like she looks good. But it's just the nature of the beast. That the skirt is non-existent. You know what I mean? One of those things where again, possibly, just possibly, less is more. But I would rate that one an 8. Is it one of your favorites, Lone? I think that's a good. That's a good. I think it looks nice. I think it looked good. It looked good. It looked good. Uh this is the Bay. She's the character. I did like the look of her. I think I liked her face design more. Again, it's just such a thing where like to me, it's I guess that's a good way to put it. I think there are already skimpy things like cheerleader outfits already innately skimpy to where I'm like, why do we need to make this skirt even more skimpy? You know, like I'm game for it. It's for whatever it is. But I do think it's one of those instances where like that's where you would want to like leave it normal, you know, because it's already kind of there. You could pop off by giving her like leggings or something, you know. One says she's a cheerleader who gets a bit nervous when she's stared at. That makes no sense. That makes not a lick of sense. But okay, I guess it's like embarrassment plus hot. Okay. Raid says I've considered going back to Tower of Fantasy just because there's been a bunch of characters and have been released since I last played. Yeah, man, I see them too every now and again. Raid, I see a little bit where I'm like, that looks pretty nice. That looks like a character pretty good, but I don't know. You're in a much better place than I think I was back then. To where I think you already have like designated teams that can actually like perform regardless. So you can just feast on the content. But for me, we haven't gotten there yet, unfortunately. We got really unlucky with a lot of pulls. Or also, I think Tower Fantasy just might have been one of those games where you really do need to just like fully drop some money, you know, drop some cheddar. Nub says more skimpy cause money. Yeah, I mean, but that's the thing though. Why don't you just make all the money and make like a version that is like, you know, clothed more or normal more, and then you make one that's hyper provocative. That way everyone can kind of win. You get two instead of one, you know. It looks nice. It's not. I don't think I'd be upset with it. I think that again, to me, I find Schoolgirl way more like this is weird than the cheerleader one. The cheerleader one makes more sense of it being like this is kind of appealing, you know. Whereas the Schoolgirl one, it's like this is just boring to me, you know. The nurse one, I don't. It's fine, but the one that really never got to me is the nun. That's weird to me. I don't know. It just seems like why, you know, like the whole sexy nun thing. That seems odd. Lone says that's why I been hyping her up all week. The under booba is crazy. Okay, that is true. Okay, if we were to judge this character on a level of skimpiness, I agree. This is probably one of the most skimpy one. It's not even alone the under hotter. Sure, but to me, what stood out was the cheeks. The shortness of the skirt was apparent essentially. Alone says it weirdly works at least when I was doing the event. I'm in agreement. It doesn't make sense. Fluff says nuns are of asexual repressing a Catholic. That's true. That's probably true. Yeah, I never thought about that because a lot of it's probably like you've been told to never bust your whole fucking life as like a dedicated Christian or something like that. And then all you see is like these Catholic women who are like they're always like beautiful for one, which is fucked up. It's either they're like the most beautiful person you've ever seen, or they're the most mean old woman you've ever found in your whole life. And yeah, and you're like, well, ah, ah. So when you grow up, this is your outlet. I guess that kind of makes sense also for like school teacher being one of the kind of like clearly obvious known things that people tend to dress up as a way of being a skimpy. Um, Raid says, yeah, I never ever played 3.3 of Tower Fantasy, and CN version already has a trailer for 4.0. Golly. Yeah, what do you call it? Was the last one that like offered the like big new region? Well, there was one that unlocked like the region, and then there was another one that unlocked like the bigger region. Like or like it was the bonus region, it almost seemed. But I think that was like still like a year and a half ago. I thought we haven't played Tower Fantasy for like probably I want to say maybe like 8 months, maybe a year, maybe 2 years. No, probably a year and 2 months maybe. Lone says there is a nun in Nikita too, and she is a perv. Of course, of course it would be. Why would it not be? Oh, I can hear music too loud in my ear because I had to make it loud in order for it to. There we go. All right, but at least I can hear myself. Am I pointing the right way? Who knows? Who knows? You see, it doesn't look as good. I just look like a weird, like, yeah, I don't like it. I don't like the way that, yeah. Alone says, who loves reading ha-da-da? See, that I don't dislike as much. That's a trope of inversion, which I don't dislike, which is like the idea of, like, okay, let's take a character that is, like let's take a character that is hyper pretty, but like acts hyper masculine or something like that. It's like it's the what is it called? Inverse. That's always what I think about. It's the inverse of whatever the thing you expect it to be. So if you go into it expecting it's going to be something, and then you get spun around, that's a fun trope. I enjoy things like that. Raid says there was an underwater place. So the underwater palace. And a Domain 9, which came out in 3.0. Okay, so maybe that's what I'm thinking of then. I think I made it to 2.0, which was that big new area where we unlocked the girl with the fan, and then everything past that, I think it was like this new big region where it's underwater areas and stuff like that, and then I think whatever after that. So that was probably 3 then. So 4 is the one I'm thinking of. Yeah. Or four is the one that I'm thinking is like far away. I just didn't know how many we skipped, but I could see it being 4. Four sounds right. Did you ever watch Good Omens, Nub? I thought I talked to you about it once, but maybe I was talking to someone else at the time about it. But it's a good show. Again, I can't believe that there was a season 2. It came out recently too, which is it was in development for a long time. If that's the case. Crowley. That was one of the foundational pieces for that old ass podcast we did a long time ago, where it was just basically me telling you guys random stories that I thought were fun and like tropes I thought were fun because I just love stories. Kind of happy we stopped doing that. It was a lot. It was a lot for people, especially at the end. It was like just me rambling about madness in my mind. Lone says, TOF, I stopped playing both mobile and Tower Fantasy. I stopped playing the one both mobile and PlayStation, which I wanted to get into, and I did, but found it lackluster after a while. Yeah, man. I think those games specifically really help. Whereas like Genshin was a game that to me I don't think it really needed the co-op. Like if you think about it, I don't think it really like leaned on co-op too much. Tower Fantasy leaned heavily on co-op, where like which is good, but also not very good because because it leaned on co-op, it really wanted you to play with co-op, and also you could, and there was like valuable things that you could get from doing co-op. It made it so that they had to scale down the game, I think, for what the implication is of being co-op. So and also it just happens to massively incentivize whaling because holy shit, you ever feel your buddy who's like a god who spent like a 1K on the game was like the perfect team. You really feel his presence when you're nuking it down a boss, and he's getting big ass numbers. So like you feel that. So I think that's probably the symptom of the game is that it is much more lenient on co-op, and therefore is more lenient on basically scaling damage, and yeah. Whereas I don't know if I love that, and I think Tower Fantasy is gonna be much more balanced in that way. I don't even know if Tower Fantasy has co-op. I think it does, kind of like Genshin, but I hope it's not scaled to be that way. Nub says, great name associated with it. No, I haven't, but looks clean. Great names associated with it. I think you should watch it, Nub. I think you should watch it. I wonder how you would like it. Because I don't know. It's one of the shows where I don't know. Because it basically, like, to me, and this is what I kind of am a little bit frustrated with. It's basically a story about like friendship, essentially, which I thought was really nice. And this is a trope that I kind of dislike. I really dislike it, actually. I really dislike this trope in Hollywood, where it's basically as soon there's no such thing as like male friendship in a storyline within Hollywood. It's always big gay. Okay, it's always big gay coming to make a goddamn point. All right, and it's fine. But goddamn it, can we just have a really wholesome bromance that's like, hey brother, I got you. I'll go in the fucking fire for you, and then it not end with two men just smashing their mouths together. You know what I mean? So yeah. But with that being said, Good Omens. I don't hate it. Let me put it that way. They do such a good job about sharing like this genuine like love for one another, where you're like, you know what, dude, I don't even care. It would feel more weird that you guys don't have something going on and that it's wholesome and sweet than otherwise, you know. And they also don't like shove it down your throat objectively. They also like they lean on the fact not of like, I'm sexually attracted to you. Oh God, there's this awkward tension. Like, ew. Like, what do we do with this? Oh God. There's none of that. It's more of like just this like, this is my favorite person in the whole planet. I want to hang out with them. I want to tell them about shit when I succeed. It's just nice. It's just like genuine love, opposed to like this gross. I fucking hate the way they do a lot of shit in goddamn Hollywood. Especially, I don't understand why the people who are these things are about aren't like, this is stupid as shit. We're always depicted as like some sort of horny nonsense stupid thing. And all of it ends up being this awkward tension, and it's never just like a deep love and reverence for another human being that then evolves into something sweet, or more, I should say, not even sweet, more. But anyways, the Good Omens is only at the last episode do they kind of hint at like this is something this. Nub says a lot of them do say this is stupid. What, the show? Oh yeah, no, the show is definitely silly. It's definitely not meant to be like a serious drama like Game of Thrones. It's meant to be, the premise is literally two angels, an angel and a demon becoming friends and then stopping the Antichrist, or stopping the forming of the Antichrist, whilst also trying to like deal with the bullshit of like heaven and hell, like trying to get them to do shit, especially against each other, which they don't want to do. So like that's the premise of the show, which is sweet. No, when you said why don't these people say these depictations are still a lot. Oh no, okay, so Nub was saying no, a lot of them do say this is stupid. Okay, good. I don't hear that a lot. I hear a lot of people. That's one of the things I don't know. Maybe it's just like an echo chamber bullshit thing that I gotta get out of. But yeah, I hear that kind of a lot. Where like I think it's one of the things I always appreciated about the Native American culture a little bit, where at least in my like kind of circles and tribes, there's a lot of like communities where they're very, 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 very supportive, and that's great. But it also is a problem when you don't self-check yourself, essentially. So one of the things that always happens with me and my brothers is when we're driving down the road, and we see a dude who's hobbling on the side of the road, kind of stumbling a ton. He's wearing big baggy clothes. He looks like he hasn't slept in a long time. He looks very visibly drunk, essentially. And every single time we pass him, we're like, please don't. No, please. And we look, and we can immediately tell that it's a Native American man. And we're like, fuck, come on, dude, we're doing good. Don't do this. Don't perpetuate the thing that we're known for, and that this is like definitely an issue within our whole culture. It's why I'm very careful with alcohol and etc. And a lot of our people are. Also, alcohol comes from the Native American people comes from a weird place of like getting sexually abused and like beaten the shit out of because we were put into schools that were weird. Anyways. Point being, that's kind of like that self-regulation. Like, I have a frustration with my part of my community, and I don't like to see that. Whereas a lot of communities, and maybe it's just the nature of the algorithm constantly pushing in like verifying what you believe and verifying what you want. But a lot of times I see that within like whether it's the gay community or whether it's with in any community where it just seems like there are very little people who say, maybe we don't want to do that. Maybe that's not good for us. maybe that's a problem. Maybe we shouldn't go about it this way. It's usually like, you're perfect. Keep going, King. I love you. You're just great. Exactly. And then the minute you're like, that guy's being a dickhead. That guy's just being a bad human being. And they're like, shut the fuck up. He's one of our admins. He's one of our important people. He's one of our he's our ally. And I'm just like, but he's a bad person. He's done bad things. Why are you trying to protect this person who's clearly going to reflect bad shit upon us, you know? So I always wish we have more of that in the world. Of like, if you are a part of a kind of a group, it would be really nice to see that group kind of, what do you call it? Auto filter out the bad bullshit of people, you know? Um, but yeah, it is kind of nice to hear that there is like some people who are a part of the communities, especially like the one that I've seen that's been really frustrating is the gay community in a way. Not again, I have full support to them. We're in Canada, we're like the gay capital of the world almost. Yeah, but the idea that like it's always a dude who is hyper effeminate. And all that kind of stuff, and it's weird because I remember I watched I remember there's a show that popped off a long time ago called Queer Eye, and I thought this is fun. It's just like a fun modeling show. I watched I watched a season of it, but I still found it was weird that like one of the episodes of topic in that show was basically that there's this guy who is like, yeah, I don't really like to dress up or speak in like a hyper effeminate way. I kind of just like to be who I am, but I happen to be attracted to this type of people. But yeah, I don't do that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to wear like super flashy colors and all this stuff and speak this way. I don't really want to go dancing. Like that's just not what I want. And you could tell that like even the person who was with him was like, well, you could do a little bit, like you like almost like saying like, no, you need to fit into the category of what everyone considers to be gay, essentially. And it's like, well, but that's not what that is about. It's literally, if you grind it down to the very bedrock of what it is, it's about you having an attraction to a person. It's not saying that you have to be insert this look, insert speak like that, insert like these hobbies. You know, and I always found like if I was in that community, I'd be frustrated as shit. I'd be like, "What the fuck, man?" Like, one, you feel like you have to assimilate into being the things that you're not, which is exactly the same issue that closetedness is basically having to constantly not be who you are. And yeah, I thought that was always a thing that I never really hear addressed a lot in that community. But maybe I'm not plugged in enough. Maybe if I go deeper into like that kind of community, maybe it's like, oh no, there's people talking about that constantly, and it's constantly a thing that's up for debate. Maybe maybe I'm an outsider looking at something overall. When if I go deeper in, it'd be obvious that that's something that's being communicated a ton. But yeah, but yeah, more wholesome friendships I think is nice to see, because I always dislike when it's always they always add. I don't know, maybe it's just me, man, but I just don't really love meaningless tension in shows. Like I feel like that's always something that they need to do, and I don't need to feel like this awkwardness, this it's one of the few emotions that I dislike a lot, which is like anxiety tension, like tension, not like a fun like, ooh, what's gonna happen, are they gonna survive, but just this constant like awkwardness of like they don't know that this person loves them and they're just pretending to go business as usual. Meanwhile, this person is suffering because they don't know that this person loves them, and we both know that this guy's not into this person, so it's gonna fuck. It's just such a mess. And then executives are like, yeah, they love it so much, and they don't love like all the other things around it. Instead, they love this one thing that's in every goddamn show. Raid says there was I think it's just the fact that the other games kept coming out when I was playing Tower Fantasy, they seemed more appealing. Yeah, that's true too. There's also just the competitive nature of everything for sure. I also the one criticism I heard for Tower Fantasy was a lot of people just saying it just doesn't feel like the thing I want it to feel like. I do think like if you think about Raid, you play a lot of like Destiny, and you play a lot of Genshin. I think you also play a lot of Honkai Star Rail. I mean, would you agree that there is like a type of feeling that those games give you, which is very much like, I don't know what to describe it by, but it's the only thing I remember is playing Genshin and playing Destiny, where it's like a feeling of like this game is the right amount of whatever that is. The right amount of like complicated, the right amount of boring, the right amount of enjoyable, for it to feel like it just kind of fits. It just kind of works. Where I feel like Tower Fantasy missed that thing. It just didn't really feel like it fit. Maybe it's just I didn't have just enough of a hook. Maybe it's that I wasn't clear on what I was supposed to do. Where all those games make it very clear about like, you do this now. Okay, now that you're done doing that, if you want to do something that we can choose for you, it's this. If you plug into the community, they'll tell you to do these other important things which are valid. That's that feeling of it like fitting. Raid says, oh no, I finished reading that. Lone says, I spent like 300 on it when it came out on PlayStation. You spent $300? Jesus Christ, Lone, on Tower of Fantasy. Fuck, I'm so sorry. I feel like I was a part of getting you into that. I'm sorry. When it came out on PlayStation, and the damage difference between me and the guy who spent nothing, when the guy went, spent nothing. When the guy who spent 1K was completely different. Yeah, the difference between a person who spent nothing to a person who spent a little bit to still a lot. $300 is a lot. That's a whole fucking headset, and then some. Well, it's just, yeah. And then the person who spent 1K, yeah, that's shitty. Lone says, like, you couldn't be Light Spender or F2P in Tower of Fantasy if you wanted to do any amount of decent damage. Yeah. It seemed like you very much got carried. Raid says, yeah, I understand. Yeah, that like thing, whatever that is. It's hard to. It's not. I think you can't describe it. I'm not sure if it's just like the live service element or like that, the thing where maybe it's your friends. That could also be it. Like you're just your friends all enjoying enough to where you're all like there. But I even knew like a lot of channels who'd like made some videos on Tower Fantasy and exploded in popularity and then just dropped it. And I was like, what the fuck, man? Like that was a golden opportunity. But I kind of, looking back on it, I also was just so desperate at the time to like kind of make content that I probably wasn't having as much fun as I thought I was either, you know? Again, it's not that Tower Fantasy is bad by any means, but again, like I said, like it feels like there was something, and maybe in 2.0 or 3.0, it's there. It has that like weird it factor that feels like it understands how to make the equation of people being sucked in, you know. But ladies and gentlemen, I have to go edit. I have to go edit some videos. I'm gonna try to do my best. I'm gonna get a brand new cup of coffee. I'm gonna sit down. I'm gonna try to edit my goddamn ass off. Okay. I don't think I have anything else to update you guys on. I'll try to get a video out to you before the end of this week. Sorry if I don't. I might just say fuck it, and it's better just to make it on Monday and have it be like a video for that week, and then I'll probably upload 2 videos that week. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, I think that is all that I have to talk to you about. I learned some stuff about YouTube stuff, which I wanted to talk to you about just because it made sense to me. But I think it'll be boring for me to ramble at you about it. The manhwa that I'm reading is fun, but not too interesting to describe, so I think I'll just leave it. And ladies and gentlemen, hopefully I can see you once again. I don't know when I'm going to watch that now, by the way. I'll try to watch that Mind one as soon, within like 2 weeks, hopefully. But yes, we'll see. I was going to watch something before that, but maybe not. Maybe I'll watch that one first, because Nub seems to really be saying it's good. And it would be cool to talk about a modern show with you, not like 5 months later, you're like, well, yeah, I forgot what happened. I'm like, great, I can't talk to anyone about it. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, hopefully I can see you once again. There is an older video that not a lot of people checked out, which I thought was very fun, which was the prototype in VR, which I thought was very violent and brutal and etc. A little slow at the beginning, which I thought I should have adjusted to it. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you enjoy the rest of your day. For everyone who is new, popped in, I appreciate you so much for stopping on by. Much love as always. You guys are too kind to me. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy the rest of your week. Again, I will try to provide content to you in some way. Yes, also, Lone says, don't forget to send me that manga. I got you, buddy. I got you. I'll send it to you. Oh, my body. Oh, my legs. Wait. Before you all leave me, I tried to raid Luca last week, and this stupid, dumb bullshit didn't go through. I don't know why. Is Luca streaming? He better be. He's not streaming. God damn it. Well, it doesn't mean anything. Goodbye. Goodbye. The only person I want to repair is Luca, because he did it 3 times in a